When you're talking about art and animation, there's many different mediums that you can use. From pencil and paper, to iPad and Apple Pencil, to digital tablets that connect into a computer. But even alongside all of these, the beautiful thing about art is that you can pretty much use anything basically to use art, and that's kind of the unique and beautiful thing about it. I've seen people do amazing art pieces within Minecraft. I've recently really gotten into Satisfactory, and some of the bases that people have made in there are literally works of art. I do consider them works of art. They are massive and they just look amazing. And alongside that, there's obviously stop motion, which isn't any of these. It's basically taking things and moving them bit by bit and then having that as the video, where it looks like a physical object's moving. And of course, there's even music. Like, audio is also artwork too, if you arrange it in a way that works really well. And I am always constantly being shocked about people making art in a new style. In terms of 3D animation especially, there's been some amazing films recently. For example, there's the obvious one, Into the Spider-Verse. Recently, there's Mitchell's versus the Machines, which I know are both Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Yeah, they are really helping Sony Animation at the moment. But even other than that, when you think of LAIKA Studios and companies like that are doing amazing stop motion animation, there's just a lot of amazing art pieces out there. And of course, there's the live action industry too that are doing amazing things too. So that's why when I saw a comment recently where somebody said that their husband was basically saying that 3D animation is just a whole lot of ones and zeros and coding, and kind of implied in a sense that it's not proper artwork because, you know, it's just ones and zeros, it's just computer code. That's why I thought I'd do this video, because I've seen other people say similar things too about things like digital art not being proper art because there's a lot of things that help you out with it. Or, you know, saying that 3D art isn't as good quality-wise as hand-drawn animation because you're not physically drawing with 3D animation, you're moving models and things like that. And by the way, by saying that, I'm not saying that the people who prefer hand-drawn animation shouldn't say that. I personally prefer, in most cases at least, hand-drawn animation. I just kind of like the look of it more and the feel of it. There's this distinct feel to hand-drawn animation. It's not that that's the bad thing. It's when people say that 3D animation is inherently less of an art form than hand-drawn animation just because of, you know, how it's made. At the end of the day, I think it's very important that people who are getting into, you know, maybe one of these fields of art that is seen as lesser by some people, for example 3D animation or digital art, or just people who are looking at other art pieces, I think it's important for them to understand that the medium that you use really isn't important, in the sense of it doesn't make it less of an art form compared to using other mediums. I don't want people to be put off, you know, going straight into digital and, you know, drawing straight on an iPad if they've got an iPad and Apple Pencil handy, and think that they shouldn't do that. They should, you know, go into pencil and paper even if they don't want to, because this is the better art form than this one. I think that the process really doesn't matter as long as you get to a result that you are happy with. I mean, even if it isn't one that you're happy to show to the world, just one that you are happy with. That's really the important thing about art, is getting what you've got in your head onto paper, drawing what you like, expressing yourself, and, you know, maybe experimenting with some new styles and things like that. And not really caring, in a sense, about what other people think about it. It's nice to put something on social media, you know, Instagram and things like that, and get validation and see that other people like it. But if it's something that you like, and even if you're not the best artist in the world, at least by other people's definitions, and you do something that maybe isn't seen by many to be a great art piece, as long as it's something that you're happy with, or at least is working towards something that you're happy with, I honestly think that it doesn't really matter what people think. You just kind of have to understand that a lot of work goes into each medium. Each medium's got its own challenges. Digital art still has its own challenges. I did a dedicated video about the challenges of digital art compared to physical art and vice versa. Drawing on a drawing tablet, obviously you have to get used to using a drawing tablet and get used to the software and things like that. Same with the iPad. If you were doing graffiti, that's a whole other thing that has its own challenges. The fact that when something's up, you can't exactly go and change it. I haven't done graffiti, but I imagine there'll be different spray bottles that come out in different ways and things like that, you know, other than colour. Everything's got its own challenges. And while there are practices that I would recommend starting off with if you are a beginner artist, you know, for example, not using drawing guides. I'm very much against drawing guides. That is, you know, the drawing squares where there's like squares and you have to like draw the lines in the same lines compared to the picture and things like that. I'll put up an image on the screen anyway. As well as, you know, those kind of drawing videos where it literally shows you what lines to draw where. I'm not really a fan of those. But again, if that's what's going to make you happy, if that's what you're going to enjoy, I personally don't think you're going to get to the point where you can do that stuff without looking at a guide as quickly. And this is where I kind of have an issue with how schools deal with art. As with, well, basically everything in school, everything has to be graded, and art is included within that. And I also have the issue with, you know, grading for PE too, but that's, again, a separate issue. But I really don't think that art should be graded. Because art is so subjective, and because everyone views it in a different way, I mean, beauty is very subjective to people. I mean, the most obvious example is abstract art. When you go to, you know, some of the museums in London, I forgot the name of it, but there was one in particular where it was literally like this really abstract art or really simplistic art that had these second meanings and things like that. I know that I don't appreciate some of that art. Other people don't too. That art is very much for a particular target audience. There's art that some people get and there's other art that other people get. No one is going to get all works of art. And I mean, even for the person that said that 3D animation is all ones and zeros, maybe 3D animation just isn't their thing. I mean, another big example is I'm quite into rock music, like guitars and electric guitars and things like that. I really, really love guitars, listening to them anyway. I kind of got to a roadblock with playing guitars, but anyway, I digress. Lots of my family just can't stand rock, and I remember distinctly there was this video, I think it was a Jonathan Young video, a cover of a particular song that I just kind of assumed everyone would like, and there's been other songs since then too. And I remember that I showed it to my brother, who is probably the most kind of open to rock in my family, and I just kind of assumed that he'd like it because, you know, it's a song that I liked. Again, I don't remember exactly what song it is. It didn't really do it for him. He didn't really like it that much. I mean, he appreciated that I liked it, but it wasn't really his thing. And obviously I've had songs that I haven't liked that my family has liked and stuff like that, and my friends have liked and things like that. Art is just so subjective that I don't see how it should be graded. Art should definitely still be a thing in schools, but kind of like with extracurricular activities. And I'm not saying that the kind of ranking of it within school should be as an extracurricular activity. It should definitely be seen as a very important subject. I think art is very important, but it should be graded in the sense of an extracurricular activity where it just isn't graded, basically. It should just be somewhere where, you know, kids can go to de-stress, can go to just get their thoughts out on the page, especially after they've been working on, you know, boring stuff like rocks in, you know, geography and actually I'm not even going to say anymore because I don't want to offend anyone. And that's also why I think that other people shouldn't be so quick to judge other pieces of art, especially if they don't know what goes into them. I mean, even with 3D animation, there's a lot of work that goes into that. There's a lot of time that goes into that. And if you're doing it for yourself, you have to worry about lighting. You have to, you know, design the characters in the first place. You have to know the software for 3D modeling. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, drawings are just lines on paper. Drawing on an iPad is just, well, you know, ones and zeros on a page, and the same with drawing on a computer. All of that, if you boil it down, are just ones and zeros and lines. But really, it's what you do with those lines and what you do with those ones and zeros, or what you do with the blocks in Minecraft. Just the rectangular blocks, wow, well done. Just the cubes in Minecraft. At the end of the day, they're just cubes. In Satisfactory, they're just walls and foundations and things like that. It's not what you use to make art, it's what you do with it that is really what makes for an art piece. And they are just the tools that help you get what is in your mind, and really sometimes the stresses that are in your mind, onto paper and out into the world. So hopefully other people who think in a similar way or enjoy the similar sorts of things or just go through the same struggles can really relate to you and hopefully can be helped by your artwork too. So with that, I hope you all stay safe out there. Keep brightening up the world with your art, and I'll see you all in the next video. Also, by the way, let me know what you think about this camera quality. It's a 4K camera now, which I'm really excited about. This camera is so much better than my previous one. But anyway, I'm not going to lengthen the video out too much. Bye.